is whenever this comparator powers this block, that power goes here into this redstone and comes up through these comparators to this redstone dust here. To then the signal here is 0. When this 0 gets to this block, that torch will actually come back on because this block will no longer be powered. What we need to do here is we need to find out what signal strength is coming into the side of this, so then that can tell us what sound frequency we need to activate this. This right over here is a practical application of all of this combined knowledge. So, do you understand how all the redstone down there works now?
Yes.
All right, so you read the report that I did on what I think my interpretation of this would be?
Yeah, it was pretty good. And I understand you have some questions?
Yeah, a couple small ones and then a couple big ones.
Sure, yeah. Wherever you want to start.
Just a couple small detail questions though I had was I was looking in this room and I wasn't sure if this opening here would have been a natural opening or if that could possibly have been an entire window that was knocked out.
Well, let's look at what the openings look like. Looks like they've got. They're surrounded with tile, and it's open at the bottom. And all windows have a block at the bottom rather than being open. So I would think that was probably a window, and the glass is just busted out. Because I know some of the glass got busted. At some point in history.
This would be kind of an awkward way to get into this room anyway.
Yeah. You could. Yeah, I would think that glass in there would probably work out real well. Yeah. All right. Okay. Cool. One down.
And another small one was the entrance into this room. So I just assumed this was an entrance and that they just ended the glass early. But then when you come around this side, there seems to be a more formal entrance on this side.
Okay. Well, again, the entrances have the blocks around them. Do any of these rooms have multiple entrances? That would be the next question.
Ooh, that's a good question. These do not. No.
Okay, that one no, that one no. I would say it's probably not a second entrance. It's probably just missing a chunk there. Of course, this one has something very similar, this opening.
Right.
But it's a too
and I don't
wide.
see how this, and this opening doesn't look like it could have a formal border around it.
Yeah, so I would say, just to be on the safe side, we might as well just fill this in, because there's no two entrances into any of these rooms. I think it would be a safe bet to just fill that in.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of leaning that way too. I just wasn't sure.
Okay. What else?
Go. Okay, one other small one, and then we'll get to the big ones.
Okay.
There was a hole in the ceiling over here, and it looked like it possibly could have just been, a broken out block. But I wasn't sure if that could possibly have had a use. And I looked above it, and I think this just kind of comes out underneath the gate. Like there's nothing special above this area.
Wasn't this the area that had a lot of sculk with it?
It did, yeah. Okay. It was all along this wall and this ceiling. Yes.
All right. I'm going to assume that sculk takes over blocks, and then eventually, at some point, because it's a living thing, it probably dies and decays and goes away. So that's probably what this is. I mean, we have a lot of missing holes in a lot of the structures and stuff that were affected by sculk. Like that, one of the towers is a really good example. A lot of that was missing and completely covered in sculk. So that's what I think is probably going on here. I don't see any kind of reason why that hole would be there. So it's probably safe to just put some bricks in there.
Okay. Sounds great.
Okay. All right.
Well, those are the easy ones.
Okay, cool. Easy ones down. What's some hard ones?
Now, this is the one that's been burning me since I stepped foot in this place. And this room is full of shiny, happy grass.
Okay.
And I am just stumped at why this would be here.
Okay.
I just can't come up with any reasons.
Let's look at the 5 W's and the H, right? So the who, what, when, where, why, and how. So who is obviously whoever built this. When is sometime in the past, and what is grass, correct? So those three we can kind of toss out the window because we already know. Where is grass? I mean, obviously, other than in here.
I mean, grass is up on the surface, right?
Up on the surface. Okay, so that one's an easy one, right? So that's a super easy one. Okay, so that one, done. Grass is up on the surface, not usually down here. So we can assume that they brought this down here. So let's talk about the how. So how can they bring grass down here? I think there's two ways really to do it.
Sure, they could silk touch the blocks and then bring them down fully intact and place them down here. Or they could, oh my gosh, they could have grass spread artificially with a whole series of dirt and lights and
yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and say that they probably didn't do the chain of dirt to have the grass spread down here, but it is a possibility. They could have done that. I think silk touch is probably more likely because we have skulk blocks in the chests, and the only way to get skulk blocks is with silk touch. So we know that they probably had silk touch.
No, that's true.
So that's probably how they got this down here. Now the big one, right? The why. So let's for a second ignore the fact that this is grass in here. What is this going on? What are they testing here?
They're testing redstone power.
Okay.
They're testing the creation and the transmission of redstone.
So the transmission, so the conductivity pretty much of redstone, right?
Yep.
Okay. So it's a really basic experiment. If redstone can conduct through or on a block, right?
Yep.
So what does that say about the grass?
I guess, are they testing perhaps different mediums it can travel over?
Possibly. I mean, none of these other rooms have grass, right? So that's significant.
No, they don't.
So, and the fact that it's the simplest of tests is, I think, significant as well. I think this is sort of a twofer. I think this is, well, not really a twofer. I think this is a conductivity test. Not only are they checking to see what blocks it'll pass through, but I think they're checking to see if redstone will go across grass.
Okay.
That would be my thought on it. And then that, of course, begs the question, I guess, and the why question comes right back, right? So why do that? Well, grass is only found on the surface, and they're testing, redstone conductivity on grass. So maybe they were planning on setting stuff up on the surface and they wanted to see if it was possible.
Okay.
I mean, that would be my guess. That would be my guess. Simply because this is a super simple, test here. This is about as simple as you can get. And they could easily have done this on deep slate, on wool, or anything else. But they chose to do it on grass. So I think this is not only a conductivity of what blocks it can go through, but what blocks it can go over.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I'm not a redstone guy. That's just my archaeology intuition, saying it. But I think honestly that's probably the simplest answer. And you shouldn't always go for the simplest answer, but usually simple answers are usually a lot more correct than other more crazy answers.
Right.
Yeah. So anyways, I think that's what's going on here. Ultimately, we can never know for sure.
The other thing is, I remember you had talked earlier about the wood structures, about how you theorized that they were brought in later because they probably wouldn't have survived the time.
Correct.
Now over here, there are some components here that are what I would consider biodegradable, right? So this seems to be made out of oak wood, and then target blocks are made out of hay bales.
Right. So you're wondering how these would have survived versus the things out there, right?
Yes.
Okay. In order for organics to stay preserved, you need one of two, I guess technically three, but we'll only focus on two environments. One is completely dry, no water whatsoever. That's why we're able to get organics in places like the Peruvian deserts and places in the American Southwest where rooms are sealed off, right? And then the other environment is completely and totally inundated with water. Things like shipwrecks or places like in the Black Sea where there's an anaerobic environment, no oxygen past a certain point, or like the bog people, where things are just completely inundated with water to the point where bacteria can't really break it down, or other things can't really break it down. So, with that being said, here, follow me real quick. So, this, which I noticed in your report, you mentioned this, is kind of telling, right? So this is a waterlogged sensor. And do you know what the sort of the main formation of the caves are usually in the real world?
Well, yeah, through like water erosion.
Yeah, water erosion. So we can assume that this place was probably carved out millions of years ago with water, right? And so this cave is probably a wet cave, or at least at some point was a wet cave. So that probably assisted the wood in rotting away, right?
Okay. Just the moisture in the air.
The moisture in the air, yeah, stuff like that. It just sort of rots away. So now you're probably wondering, well, then how does that explain, the wood stuff inside that room? Well,
yeah, I think I'm kind of following you here.
There's something that happened when we first found it.
Those were sealed up.
Yeah,
there's no other way into this area.
Right, including water and other things like that. This was completely sealed. We could, if this was an airtight seal, we can assume that those things in there were in a dry scenario or a situation, possibly. I mean, I can't say for sure, but we do have precedent in the real world of things like that happening. For example, in the American Southwest, when you have pueblos and they collapse down and they seal the bottom rooms, a lot of those rooms are completely dry and we get a lot of organics out of them. And you see that in caves and things like that all the time, where things are sealed off and it's completely dry in there. And that's what ends up, preserving these things. So if I had to guess, I would say that out there is nice and wet, but in here, because it was sealed, it probably was dry. Now keep in mind, of course, these are all just hypothesis on my part here. I can't say for sure that that's why the grass is there, and I can't say for sure that that's why the organics are there either. But if I had to guess based on my experience, that's what I would say. So a question I have for you is, did you get the files I sent you?
Yes, I did.
Great. Well, I already have them on my pad. Can you overlay them and let me know when that's done?
Yeah, sure. I'll get right on it.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay, I'm done.
Oh, I wasn't sleeping. Okay, it's loaded. They're all loaded?
Yep, yep, and I already transmitted them to your tablet.
All right. Well, let me see here. Let me go ahead and load them up here, and all right. And ooh. Yeah, this is looking nice. Look at all that. Excellent. Okay. Well, this is going to be a pretty big project. So, are we done, you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're all done.
It's looking pretty good.
Pretty good. It looks incredible.
Yeah. Well, yeah, all right. So, there's one more thing we got to do before we end out today.
A new map?
Yep, a new map.
Nice.
Yeah, let's knock that out.
Okay, all the maps are ready to go.
Okay, yeah. Sounds good. Throw them on up.
All right.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Oh, that looks beautiful with all the roofs and the different colors.
That looks great. All right. Well, I think today was...
This is a nice looking city.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really is.
Absolutely, yeah. I think today was a good day. We got a lot done. Yeah. So, this means that all we have left is to put the mountain on top and see what else the director wants.
All right, that sounds good, but hopefully we can take a little nap first, because I'm a bit tired after this day.
Yeah, definitely. I'm pretty beat too. All right, let's first thing in the morning.
Perfect.
Cool.